it is important to understand basically, all the nuances surrounding iodine, because otherwise you could be exposed to more risk than you should be if you just go out and start taking iodine. So last point is, it can be controversial, iodine can, because the chemical reaction in the body that it creates when it gets absorbed in the cells, etc., it is powerful. It can potentially create oxidative damage if it's not happening in a balanced manner, because just like you find other minerals in nature, one mineral requires other minerals and requires vitamins, and everything balances out synergistically. Otherwise, that mineral won't work. So taking iodine in an isolated form can be especially risky. It can cause problems from oxidative stress, and basically from a chemical standpoint, if enough other critical nutrients are not present. So here are some nutrients. Again, this goes back to the Iodine Project. It goes back to trial and error. It goes back to people figuring out the best things that worked generally. But here's the ideal nutrients that work synergistically with iodine. So when people took iodine and had success, to the degree that they also took these companion nutrients, they had that much more success. And people would report more problems to the degree that they were not taking these other nutrients. So the first one is like a green powder. Okay, if you take about 25 grams approximately per day of green powder, which has magnesium, potassium, iron, sodium, and many other vitamins and minerals. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/green powder. The second one is selenium, approximately 100 to 200 milligrams of selenium, 1 to 7 times per week. There is some indication that a higher frequency of dosage may be more appropriate during early iodine supplementation, especially during any bromide detox, followed by potentially tapering off that dosage later after the body's more saturated. You could consider taking selenium for a couple weeks prior to starting taking the iodine to help prepare the body for better absorption of the iodine. And you can find that at rapidregeneration.com/selenium. Okay, the next one is vitamin C in the form of a sodium ascorbate powder, the alkaline form of vitamin C. Approximately 500 milligrams to 5 grams per day. That's a large dose. 1 to 7 times per week. And again, with more frequent dosage and higher dosage often preferred earlier on during the higher iodine dosage, and if any detox symptoms are going on. And you can find that at rapidregeneration.com/vitamin C powder. Next up, many individuals also report doing well taking vitamin B2 and B3, which helps with the cellular energy cycle. And so that would be B2, riboflavin, 15 to 400 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. And B3, niacin, 110 to 400 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. And you can find that at rapidregeneration.com/B2 and /B3. Somebody also might, for convenience sake, consider taking a full B complex instead of B2 and B3 individually. You can find that at rapidregeneration.com/B complex. The next one is zinc, which is approximately 10 to 30 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. There is some indication that, once again, a higher frequency may be more appropriate during the beginning of iodine supplementation. and then potentially tapering it down, even potentially dropping it off in some cases after that. rapidregeneration.com/zinc. Then you have magnesium, 150 to 600 milligrams, 1 to 7 times per week. Be careful with this one because somebody could already be getting more than enough magnesium in their foods, depending on the foods that they're eating. Obviously, magnesium from food is much more bioavailable, and so maybe somebody doesn't need additional magnesium. Some people do. rapidregeneration.com/magnesium. And lastly, of course, you have consideration for sea salt, all natural sea salt, 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon added to foods throughout the day. And again, this seems better utilized during the early stages of iodine supplementation, and especially if there's bromide detoxification going on. And then perhaps this can be tapered off as the body becomes more saturated with iodine, more cleared out of bromide. And of course, this can also be done in conjunction with the salt loading protocol that was mentioned earlier, where you take 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon of salt with 12 ounces of water, and then followed by another glass of water, 12 to 16 ounces. And you could do that 1 to 2 times a day or as needed. So those are kind of the nutrients that work synergistically with iodine. It would be risky, in my view, to start taking higher dosages of iodine without these other nutrients. So personally, I know some people, maybe they don't want to take isolated vitamins and minerals and etc. That's covered separately in another segment of Rapid Regeneration. But I'm just telling you what the deal is in all these cases that were studied, thousands